What's up guys, welcome back to On the Brick, and wow, this was a little unexpected. When I said I was going to do a Q&A video, the idea was always to do it for 200 subscribers, but the last thing I expected was to reach that as quickly as I did. And I really should stop being surprised because I say that every single time, but I am. And I'm still incredibly grateful for every single one of you who decided to join this channel and support it in whatever way you have. In fact, we're almost at 250 subscribers, which is still blowing my mind. And I'm still half convinced that my girlfriend has made 235 alternate accounts, even if she says she hasn't. But some of you had some interesting questions to ask, so let's go through them. What is my real name? Jonathan. How old am I? I am 26 years old. Where am I from? I'm from this region here, probably more specifically this area. Alright, with the basics out of the way, let's get into the serious questions. Dr. Xbox Live asked, do I play Halo? Yes I do. Not as much as I used to when I was younger, but I definitely do still play it. In fact, my friend and I are planning to play through the main 5 games plus ODST on Legendary for the release of Halo Infinite. My personal favorite Halo game still is Halo Reach because that's the first one that I actually played on my own, but I have played all the games including both Halo Wars and even Spartan Assault, and even though I think Halo 5 was an absolute disaster, I am looking forward to Halo Infinite. Someone on Instagram asked me what was my very first custom set. I showed this off back in my 50 subscriber collection video, which you can see here. That set was one I got off of a guy from YouTube, and that is a UCS Spider Droid. It's definitely not the best Lego set out there, but it does still hold together very well, and considering that I got the entire thing with pieces included for less than $20, I'm very happy to still have it. I wish I could tell you where I got it from, but unfortunately I was never able to find that person again. In fact, the only thing that I know is that they were a fan of $FrodoFan77, so maybe one day we can figure out who they are. Locust asked me, would you like to have Lego lightsabers that match their user? I think most people would, because while I don't think most people mind the generic Lego lightsabers, I do think customized versions would be really nice. And if you're looking into that, I would highly recommend checking out Big Kid Bricks, as he has a ton of custom Lego lightsabers. And these are for the minifigures, not like the giant buildable versions that I have. He's missing some pretty obvious ones, but he also only makes them for the characters he actually designs. But even then, they're still really well made, and I would highly recommend them. Someone else asked me, what is my favorite Lego set and what got me into doing customs? Okay, so this is a bit of an answer. First, in my collection video, for some reason I said that the original UCS Y-Wing is my favorite Lego set, and while it is certainly my favorite Star Wars Lego set, my favorite Lego set in general is the Saturn V. I think just about every single aspect of that build was amazing. The price to piece ratio was really good, the physical size of the final build was really good, the fact that there are no stickers in the set is really awesome. I also love how you can actually take it apart and display it in multiple different ways. Oh, and also the fact that they made it 1969 pieces, like the year we actually went to the moon. It's actually such a good set that I bought it for some of my non-Lego liking friends, and both of them built it just fine and loved it. As for what got me into doing customs, well, this is a bit of a longer answer. For some reason, I just really like seeing the scale of things when compared to each other. There are a ton of videos out there of like the scale of every Halo ship next to each other, and I just love those things. The problem I've always had with those videos is that at a certain point, you kinda just lose that sense of scale. When you're just watching everything on the screen, at a certain point you lose perspective. And when some of the bigger Lego UCS sets started coming out, I had one particular goal in mind. I wanted to have the Blockade Runner, the Star Destroyer, the Super Star Destroyer, and the Death Star. The reason for that, if you don't know, is because the Star Destroyer comes with a 2-scale Blockade Runner, the Super Star Destroyer comes with a 2-scale Star Destroyer, and the Death Star 2 set comes with a 2-scale Super Star Destroyer. And so I was physically able to see the scales going all the way from the Blockade Runner up to the Death Star 2. But then I couldn't do things like comparing an X-Wing to the Blockade Runner because they just didn't have sets in the proper sizes. Then I found Jorstad Designs, and I found their Rebel support fleet, of which I do have most of the ships for, and all of these were to scale to the original UCS Star Destroyer. And I knew the size of some of those ships compared to other ships I had, for instance the size of a Nebulon compared to a Millennium Falcon, for instance. And since the Millennium Falcon UCS set was minifig scale, I could kind of figure out how big a Nebulon would be from that. And then when Brickvault came out and started making minifig scale sets, it kind of just escalated from there. Because having these minifig scale sets really does help me see how big they would be in real life and how big they would actually be compared to each other. But also having like the mini scale fleet really helps me see how some of these smaller ships compare to the larger ships. Basically, to answer the question, I just really like seeing the scale of things together, and having the custom LEGO sets really helped me do that. I highly doubt that was an answer anyone was expecting. Moving on, Chaos Brick asked me what is my favorite food and why. Milanesa alla napolitana. I'm gonna keep that in, but I'm gonna try it again. Milanesa alla napolitana. As for why, there are several reasons. First, my mom just makes it really amazingly. Second, it's a meal from their home country. And third, it just tastes good in general. If you haven't tried it, I would say to, but I'm not really sure where you can. The recipe is pretty simple and it doesn't take that long to make at all. Someone else asked me if I could review Brickvault's ATAP. This question clearly wasn't meant for the Q&A video, but I did want to bring it up for one specific reason. While I would certainly love to review Brickvault's ATAP and many of their other sets, you do have to remember that there is a really large cost factor that goes into most of them. I really do want to build their ATAP. It looks cool, and if you know anything about me or my collection, you'll see that I have all of the LEGO versions. But it's also almost $300 to get, and that's a lot of money to put into something like that. So if you want to help make sets like that possible on this channel, this is where I'm going to ask you to please check out my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can really help make sets like that happen. And I'm just gonna say this here, if I can get $100 a month, I will do a monthly minifigure giveaway on my Patreon. And if you have any suggestions for perks or things you would like to see, please let me know, because I'd be more than happy to hear them or even implement them. Even just $1 a month goes a long way to helping me out. Someone else asked me what is with the original Aldarbeetle minifigure in the background of my Naboo Starfighters video. I'm gonna be honest guys, I am not really going to be editing the audio that much in this video. I say as I have already edited out about 50 flubs. But this video is supposed to be more about Jonathan, less about On the Brick, and so I'm just fine with that. Even that sentence doesn't make much sense. Anyway, back in 2006, I got my very first gaming console of my own, the PlayStation 2, and with it, my parents got me both NFL 2K5 and Star Wars Racers Revenge. I loved both of those games so much. And when it came to Racer's Revenge, I wasn't really a fan of how Anakin in the game was a teenager. So I just went to the next character, which I believe was Aldarbeetle, and I played as them instead. And I never played as anyone else because Aldarbeetle was just the best. Also, fun fact about the Boonta Eve Classic, in the Phantom Menace, Aldarbeetle actually finished third that race. But with the minifigure, honestly, it is probably the ugliest minifigure that LEGO has ever put out ever, which of course meant that I had to get it because it's still Aldarbeetle and I just love the character in general, so yeah, that's why I have him. Also, if you're wondering why I've just been showing my cat throughout this video, the answer is because Chaos Brick asked me to. Iroh Firelord asked me, I smell maple syrup when my car starts up. What is causing that? Well, Iroh, it's because you didn't clean your beard out after finishing your pancakes. Lovely Skella also asked 2 questions of what inspired me to become a YouTuber to review LEGO sets, and also who is my favorite Star Wars character. To answer the second question first, my favorite character is easily Ahsoka Tano, with Obi-Wan being a close second. I grew up with the prequel, so of course Obi-Wan was going to be on that list, but fun fact, the very first movie I ever went and saw at midnight midnight was actually the Clone Wars movie, and I went with Maple Syrup Guy, and for a good while him and I would watch the show together every single week. But as the years went on, Ahsoka Tano became less of a side character and more the main character of the show. When you include her appearances in Rebels and of course her own novel, her character becomes extremely fleshed out and really does show what a Jedi should have been during the Republic era. As for what inspired me to become a YouTuber and review LEGO sets, well, the short answer to that is Brickvault. Again, I liked the sets that they were putting out, and there were a whole lot of them that I was really interested in getting and really wanted to buy. But most of their sets only have reviews made by themselves. And obviously those reviews are biased. From my own experience, this wasn't always the best thing with their sets. They don't ever outright lie or misdirect you, but they do very carefully choose their words. For instance, even though they know the Naboo Starfighter is a pretty bad set that doesn't really hold together well, they never say that. And so when I was trying to find reviews of their sets made by other people, I found a surprising lack of them. Full disclosure, I knew about the Naboo Starfighter for years, but I found another series of videos talking about their First Order Star Destroyer, and if you don't know, I am a huge First Order fan. I have over 400 First Order minifigures, and so of course this was one particular set that I really wanted to get, but I was not interested in spending that amount of money on instructions and over $1,000 on pieces if the set wasn't going to be good. From what I've seen in this one video review, unfortunately it seems that's the case. I'm not going to talk about this super in depth right now, but apparently the bottom panels have a hard time staying on and just fall off a lot. But again, that's never mentioned or even talked about at all in their review. That's totally understandable, they're trying to sell these things, so talking about the flaws makes that a little harder. Like, I didn't want to risk spending that amount of money. I also wanted to make sure that other people were putting their money into proper things that were worth it. And so the idea of this channel was born. But here's the thing, even though I can't seem to find those videos right now, they came out shortly after Brickvault released the set, which means I've had the idea for this channel for a very long time now. The biggest reason that it happened now and not a year ago is honestly because I had nothing else to do. At the time I started the channel, I didn't have a job thanks to the local global global pandemic is what I was trying to say. And I had run out of shows to watch, movies to watch, things to do. Of course I was still looking for a job, but I just wasn't finding one. And so one night I just said screw it and made my first video. Speaking of which, Coco asked me which video am I the proudest of? None of them. I always feel like I can do better. I always find some mistake that I could have fixed or something that I could have done just a little bit better. But also my very first one. It's not a very good video at all. I filmed that thing on the counter in my bathroom with some posters hung up backwards to show the white side. I really wish I had taken pictures of just how complicated of a setup it actually was, because man was it really a mess. And I was recording in the same headset that I'm wearing now, but I'm not recording through that. Honestly, it's not that good of a video at all, but I'm still really proud of it simply because I made it, because I went and I put it out there. And here I am several months later with 240 subscribers, which still blows my mind. Also, that hammerhead is not a UCS set no matter what they say. Coco also asked me what is my favorite channel. So I'm going to separate this into what's my favorite LEGO channel and what's my favorite channel in general. And when it comes to LEGO, it might surprise you to learn that I don't actually watch that many. Actually, I'm really glad you asked this because it reminded me of more to my answer to Skella's question, because I do plan to review actual LEGO sets on this channel when they come out. I probably won't be doing every single set from every Star Wars line because there's some that I just don't care about, but one of the problems that I've seen with the vast majority of LEGO channels out there is that they all just talk about the same exact thing. Whenever opinion I see on one channel, I'll probably see on 10 more. And sometimes that's just because, you know, that's how it is, but sometimes it feels like they're not being genuine. I won't put any here, but there's been more than once where I feel like the person is only being nice because LEGO sent them the set. And there are several LEGO sets out there that have some serious flaws that people just go, oh, this is fine, it's a cool set, go and get it, and they're not being honest, and I feel like someone needs to be honest about these things. So for that reason, one of my favorite LEGO channels is Jang Bricks, because I feel like no matter what, he is always 100% honest in his reviews, and honestly, that's kind of it. I honestly don't even watch Brickvault that much anymore. I really just watch for their custom sets. And I do have a full video planned as to why, but the really short answer is that Mike left and the channel just hasn't been the same since then. Outside of LEGO channels, I don't have a single favorite. There are just way too many that I love watching and none that I will watch every single video for. So instead, some of my favorite channels include Tom Scott, Dominic Noble, Lindsay Ellis. I also watch things like Gordon Ramsay or First We Feast, with Binging with Babish, and if you love space things, then I would highly recommend The Everyday Astronaut. Someone asked me who my favorite custom designer is. I gave examples like Rich Boy J, 1K Storestad, people like that. Again, I can't say that I have a single favorite, but my top two are easily David Buckles, because his gunship designs, ATTE, dropship are all super amazing, and he just has an eye for this that I really don't understand. But also, if you've never checked out the things Rich Boy J has put out, I would highly recommend it. He is seriously talented and has the best instructions on the market. He also puts out minifig scale sets like Brickvault, and honestly, he just seems like a really awesome guy all around. And if you could tell him I said that, well, I don't think I would get anything out of it, nor am I looking to, but that would be awesome. And finally, this person whose name I never knew how to say but has been around for a long time, so thank you, asked, do I have any tips on how to get multiple custom LEGO clones without breaking the bank? Not so much a full army, but around 4 to 5, well, they said Wolfpack clones from Clone Army Customs. They asked if I would recommend just getting Clone Army Custom helmets and maybe some gray arms and just use regular clone body and legs, or if there are any other methods to get a bit more accuracy. Well, what they said is certainly an option. I don't know how good it would look or how much it would cost, but it is definitely an option. Though I'm definitely going to get some flack for this, if you don't care about it being pure LEGO, you can always try the boot LEGO route. I've had some people send me some, and they are perfectly fine, and you can always just replace the helmet from Clone Army Customs. The main and only reason I bring that up is because boot LEGO is incredibly cheap, so if you're looking for the cheapest option, that's going to be it. Now, like most of you, if that is something you do care about, there are still other cheaper options. You can always try decals. Bodies are super cheap. You can get them from Jonax, Star Wars Fanatics, AV Figures, or even just buy them off of Bricklink yourself. The decals are usually only around $2, and though it is definitely time consuming to get it right, it's not a difficult process to do at all. And the materials to get started are also pretty cheap, with the most expensive thing easily being the sealant, but I've been able to do like 20 figures so far with just one can. And again, if you really don't want to do the helmets, you can always buy them from like Area Light or Clone Army Customs. Still definitely a little more expensive, as it would be around $50 for 5 figures, not including like the sealant and stuff like that. That's still $100 cheaper than getting these same figures from Clone Army Customs. And if you know any other ways to get cheap customs or like cheap army builders, then please write them in the comments down below. Also, feel free to write any other questions that you have. If I don't answer them now, I will definitely answer them in another Q&A video. Please do remember to like this video if you liked what you saw, and if you're a fan of custom LEGO, please do consider subscribing and ringing that bell, as it helps me out a ton. Like I said earlier, if you want to see bigger sets and you really want to help support this channel, please do consider checking out my Patreon. I really do want to do giveaways and other things and show you these cool sets, but I need your help to make that happen. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for 240 subscribers. I legitimately did not think that I would be reaching this many this soon. I thought that I would be reaching 50 by the end of the year. So thank you to everyone who has supported me and continues to support me, and I will see you next time. Oh, wait, that reminds me of one more question that I had. Forever ago, someone asked me why I always put okay bye at the end of my videos, and this time I'm going to let the answer itself.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.